AITA for telling my in-laws to leave after they bullied my girlfriend's nephew? I, 25M, recently moved into my own house. It's a big deal for me because I've worked really hard for this. My girlfriend, 27F, and I decided to host a little housewarming to celebrate. We invited a small group of friends, my mother, and her family. We kept it low-key, just a few drinks, some food, and a good time. Everything was going well at first. The weather was nice, so we decided to eat outdoors. The kids had their own table, and everything was flowing smoothly. My girlfriend's nephew, 8, was at the kids' table, and things were going fine. Then, the inevitable happened. He knocked over a jug of diluted juice. Now, I was at the table when it happened, and I could clearly see that it was an accident. The boy was really polite and immediately apologized. He looked upset, but I honestly thought it wasn't a big deal. I even laughed it off, trying to ease the tension, thinking it would help. He was just a kid, and accidents happen, right? But then things got weird. His father came over to the table after hearing the commotion. I was honestly shocked by how much he scolded his son. He was yelling at him, making a big scene over something that seemed so minor to me. The boy ran off to the corner of the garden, crying. At that point, I felt bad for him. He was just a kid, and he seemed genuinely upset. But it didn't end there. His mother joined the conversation and said something like, he deserved that. He should stay there for a long time and think about what he did. Her words were harsh, and it made me uncomfortable. I noticed a few of her family members were sort of sniggering at what was happening. It felt like a form of bullying, and I didn't like it. The boy was crying and apologizing again, but no one was comforting him. I felt like someone had to step in. A couple minutes later, I decided to approach the boy. I didn't want him to feel like he was being punished for something out of his control. I handed him a bar of chocolate, which seemed to lift his spirits a little. He apologized again, and I gave him a high five. I even taught him a high five trick I used to do when I was a kid to lighten the mood. I could tell he appreciated it. That's when his mother came over to me and told me to stop talking to her son. She said that he needed to reflect on his behavior alone and shouldn't be distracted by me. At that moment, I was honestly taken aback. I had tried to help the kid feel better, but she was demanding that I back off. I knew I had to do something, so I took both her and her husband aside. I said to them, "This is my house. If you want to upset your kid like that, don't do it here. If you don't like how I'm handling things, feel free to leave." The reaction from them was insane. They went back to the table and started talking about what I had said. My mother, who doesn't hold back when it comes to speaking her mind, chimed in with, "I raised a great son. He's right. No bullies allowed in his house." That just made everything worse. The tension in the air was thick. My girlfriend pulled me aside later and asked me to apologize to them. I refused. I didn't think I had done anything wrong. I was trying to defend the boy from being bullied, and that's how I saw it. But when I told her I wouldn't apologize, I also said something I regretted. I told her that I thought less of her for asking me to apologize. That wasn't fair, and I should have communicated that better. The rest of the party was filled with tension. Some of my friends agreed with what I had done, but her family was clearly upset. They kept making little digs at me, and it made things really awkward. But one of my girlfriend's friends came to me privately and said that I had done the right thing. It was comforting to hear that, but it didn't change the tension I was feeling with my girlfriend's family. Fast forward a little, and my girlfriend is still pushing me to apologize. But I don't think I did anything wrong. I was standing up for what I believed in, and I thought I was doing the right thing. If anything, I think less of her family for not supporting me and for making a big deal out of something so small. I've even started to wonder about my future with her. If she can't understand where I'm coming from and why I reacted the way I did, maybe we're not as aligned as I thought. Anyway, I know I'm not perfect, and I've had my own faults in this situation, but am I really the AH here? Update 1. After the housewarming party, things started to get really tense between me and my girlfriend. We didn't talk much for a couple of days. I could tell she was upset, and I knew I had hurt her by saying I thought less of her for asking me to apologize to her family. It wasn't the right thing to say, but in the heat of the moment, it just came out. Her family, especially her parents, were still pretty upset with me. I didn't expect them to understand, but I did think they would at least respect the fact that I was trying to protect the boy from being bullied. Her mom and dad started calling me a hothead and overdramatic, saying that I should have just stayed out of it. Her sister even sent me a message saying that I was overstepping my boundaries by getting involved in their family dynamic. I felt like I was being demonized for trying to do the right thing. It was confusing. On the other hand, some of my friends told me I had done the right thing. One of my friends said that he would have done the same thing if his niece was being treated that way. It felt good to have some validation, but it didn't make things better with my girlfriend. We talked about it, and I tried to explain my side. I told her that I couldn't stand seeing that boy being treated like that. I didn't think it was fair, but she said that I shouldn't have gone about it the way I did. She said I should have just talked to her family privately and not embarrass them in front of everyone. I still don't agree with her. I think that when someone crosses a line, it's important to set boundaries. And I think I did that. But I also see now that the way I did it might have been too much. I didn't want to escalate things, but I guess I did anyway. Now, she's still pushing me to apologize to her family. She says it's the only way we can move forward from this. But part of me feels like I shouldn't have to apologize for standing up for what I believe in. It's getting to the point where I'm wondering if this is something we can move past. The tension between us is getting harder to ignore. Update 2. The past week has been difficult. I've spent a lot of time reflecting on everything that happened. My girlfriend and I are still at odds, and I can tell that this is affecting our relationship more than I initially realized. At first, I thought that standing my ground was the right thing to do. But as time has gone on, I've started to see things from her perspective as well. I never meant to hurt her, but I know that my words and actions created a huge rift between us. She was hurt by what I said, and I've come to realize that I might have been too harsh in how I handled things. I've also had some conversations with my mom about it. She's always been supportive of me, but she told me that I need to be careful about how I react in situations like this. She said that while it's important to stand up for what you believe in, sometimes it's better to pick your battles and approach things more calmly. At this point, I'm willing to apologize to my girlfriend for the way I spoke to her about the situation. I was frustrated and hurt, and I took it out on her. I know that's not fair, and I want to make it right, but I'm still struggling with the idea of apologizing to her family. I don't think I was wrong for standing up for the boy, but maybe I could have approached it differently. I guess what I've learned through all of this is that relationships are complicated, and sometimes you have to compromise. It's not about being right or wrong. It's about understanding each other and finding a way to move forward.